Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of My Car Shop. This isn't an episode that's in any of the series that we're doing right now on the Challenger, the Oakland, or the 47 Ford. This is what I consider to be a miscellaneous episode. I've had some people asking me some questions behind the scenes, and I thought I would take a few minutes today just to give you something, because it's been a while since we turned anything out. I think the last one we turned out was the episode where we put the fenders on the 47 Ford. But some of the questions that have been asked are regarding my background, where I come from, where I've acquired the skills that I have, and things like that. I've been wrenching on stuff since I was a little kid, building bicycles, and I remember finding old lawnmowers and bringing them home when I was living up in northern Michigan, up in the Upper Peninsula. Didn't have a clue what I was doing, but tearing those things down, wanting to build go-karts and things like that. At that point, I didn't have any of the skills or the resources to do anything, so it was pretty much bicycles, building choppers and things like that. Then we moved to Kentucky, and while I had not as good a space to work in because we lived in an apartment building, I picked up an old lawnmower that somebody was throwing out, tore it all apart, put it all back together again, and actually did get that running. That was kind of fun. And of course, I was still building bicycles and things like that. But then when we moved to this area here in Lower Michigan, where we live now, I was able to get involved, first of all, in farm shop in high school, and that's where I learned how to weld. I wasn't very good at it, but I started stick welding, and then eventually went into wire welding. And then the next year, I attended auto mechanics class here at our local skill center, and found that I had a knack for that. While I was in high school, I also picked up a 1970 Dodge pickup that had a big block in it with a 4-speed. I started working on that, and then found a 1968 Roadrunner. At that time, that's what I thought it was. Turned out it was a clone, but in my mind, it's still a Roadrunner. I decided to pull the big block out of the truck and put that motor in the Roadrunner, and got that car driving. It didn't last long because the transmission went out of it. But that's where my passion really started for old Mopars. I also had a Ford Pinto at that time that I was driving. I started picking up other cars. I picked up a 71 Dodge Demon, picked up a 73 Plymouth Satellite, picked up a couple of other Dodge Darts, and just started collecting stuff, working on cars. Obviously a lot of Mopars, even though in my early days I started out as a Ford guy. I was a Mustang guy. I always wanted to have a Mustang. Just through circumstances, ended up falling in love with Mopars. And I've had so many cars down through the years. So that's out of high school. I went to tech school. I went to Lincoln Tech in Indianapolis, Indiana for the auto diesel program. Took many classes there on rebuilding automatic transmissions, rebuilding engines, some heavy truck classes. I didn't finish that program for various reasons. Mostly I was just too immature to be living in a far city by myself, and was a pretty wild time for sure, but that's another story. I ended up moving back home and going to a local community college. Continued on with my automotive studies a little bit there, but was still wrenching on cars. While I was in Indianapolis, I picked up a 1968 Dart GT, not the GTS. Had that car for many years. I also picked up a 78 Aspen RT. It seems like for as far back as I can remember, I've always had 2 or 3 cars of the collective variety. Sometimes they were my drivers, sometimes not. So I finished at the local community college and needed to go on to university to finish a degree. Decided to get a degree in history, believe it or not. I actually do have a bachelor's degree in history. But they had a great automotive program there, and I decided that I wanted to continue on with and make that my minor. The university, Northern Michigan University, did not have a program for a liberal studies major with a technical minor. I was the first one to graduate from Northern Michigan University with a bachelor's degree in history and a minor in power transportation technology, and was really instrumental in helping to push that program through to give opportunity for people like myself who wanted to have that bachelor's degree in liberal studies but still were very hands-on. It was also during that time we got married while we were at university, my wife and I. And I found this little hot rod shop there in Marquette and started talking to the owner. And one day I would just go in to visit for a while and enjoy the cars. And he offered me the opportunity to clean out the body shop. The body shop they had was a mess. There was just one other fellow working there at the time, and the two of them couldn't keep up with everything. So I started sweeping floors and hosing the shop down and cleaning everything. I absolutely loved it. I worked for a week, made that place absolutely spick and span, and at the end of that week, the two of them came to me and offered me a job. Within a year, I was managing that rod shop, co-managing it with my, who is now a friend of mine, Jack. He's also the guy that taught me to do body work. When I was working there, I was doing a lot of mechanical work. He was doing the body work, and he taught me a lot about how to do body work, how to hang panels, how to finish product. That was back in the days when show cars were done with lacquer, so you can tell the time frame there. So I've always had this passion, and I've always had this thing. I do have a little formal training in this, but most of what I have learned has been on my own, and turning out cars like this, I've done a bunch. Done some better than this, but this is definitely one of my better products. And so I've been around cars all my life. Life really happened. I've changed careers a lot. I was a counselor for a while. I own a technology company now. Went through some personal things financially and was able to keep the cars, fortunately. Didn't lose the cars during all of that, but it just took me a while to regroup and kind of get my head cleared out and get life back on track to be able to get back out here and work on things. So what's coming next here in my car shop? Well, I ordered some equipment today. I finally ordered a sheet metal brake. I'm going to be getting a bead roller soon. My buddy Chris and I are talking about a pipe anvil for doing metal bending as well, for bending round things. We're going to build one of those. The only other thing I really want to get, well, two things. One, I probably will, is an English wheel. And the other one is I keep thinking I want to get a TIG welder. But I can work with what I have for now. But I need to do the tunnel on the floor in the 47. I also need to do a tunnel on the floor in the 70. And I pretty much have made up my mind that I'm going to fabricate things for those cars, especially for the Challenger. I'm not just going to go buy off the shelf parts. I love fabricating. I love building things with my hands. I love taking metal and forming it into something and making something really cool. So with those new tools, rather than going out and spending a couple $1,000s on replacement parts, I'm going to make the stuff myself. That's what I love to do. That's the most fun for me. And time-wise, it's not going to take me that much longer to make the stuff and install it than it would to just install it. So it's not even a cost factor at this point. It's just simply that that's what I like to do and that's what I want to do. So we got a lot of projects around here. I've got an episode started on my son's 69 Charger. That's on hold because the starter went out when I was pulling the car out. We did not get it out. So I'm going to get a starter on that car, get that one completed. Got some updates on the 70 Challenger that's going to be coming soon. If you've seen the videos on that, if you haven't, go over to the playlists. Everything's listed out there. The Oakland engine, I'm going to be taking the cam into the machine shop soon, getting that cam polished up and getting that thread finished that holds the retainer on for that, and get that engine started put back together. And I've got some fuel lines to replace on the 68 Pro Street GTS. The 73 Swinger of Brad's that's been here for a while, that's got a flywheel problem. We got to pull the transmission out of that, take care of that. And I also plan to get the quarter panels hung on the 74 Swinger. That's here, that's mine. And get that car. My son and I were talking about that the other day. If he gets home, he and I are going to tag team that and get it turned out. So I hope to have the Challenger in here and really be working on that by the fall. There's a lot going on. There's a few other projects around here as well that I haven't talked about yet. So a lot of exciting things happening, but that's a little bit of my background. I'm going to be taking some of the stuff that's in the shop here, some of the engines, and moving them into my back storage area and making room for some new equipment to come into the shop and getting things a little bit more organized and formalized here for what I want to do next. So, hey, thanks for watching this. I know it's just me talking, not a lot of exciting things here. For everybody that's been following this project, because this is the one we have the most episodes on, thank you. If you haven't seen that, go over to the playlists, follow the 47 Ford. This really is a show that is developing. Some of the early episodes are pretty crude. Hopefully getting better at putting these out. I do everything on my iPhone, and I build the shows in the iMovie app on my phone. It's been tempting to take it into my studio and do them in Adobe, and I want to keep it simple, and this is the way that I know how to do that. So anyway, a lot of information. I feel like I just blasted you with a fire hose, but this is 10 minutes of me just talking. There'll be a lot more coming soon. The next step that I want to do is probably get the running boards cleaned up and try to get them on the 47. If circumstances allow, I may be able to do that this weekend, so you may have a 35th episode for the 47 Ford. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. There's a lot going on here. I'm going to try to at least turn out one episode a week now that life is getting back to normal and my business is getting back in full steam. Hopefully we can do more than that. I'll probably do some things like this as well. If you have questions, put them down there. I'll do a video and answer them if we get enough questions. I'm considering maybe going live when we get a few more people on the channel to make that worth the time for you guys. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on. So subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell so you get all the notifications. And really important, check us out on Facebook, My Car Shop on Facebook. And also we're on Instagram now. So we'll try to get those addresses out there for you so you can follow along. Have a great weekend. Spread the word about the show if you like it. There's a lot coming yet. Rock on, people.